Hello, everyone. It's Laurie White from the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce, and welcome to Chamber TV and episode number 75. And today we are excited to talk to Secretary of Commerce Stefan Pryor. And we have had a very close working relationship with the Commerce Secretary and his entire team during the course of this pandemic. So, Secretary Pryor, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. How are you doing?
Very glad to be with you, Lori. Doing fine. We're continuously, working this team really with intensity, but it's a privilege to do the work. And we're so grateful for the partnership with the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce and with you, Lori. It's been really magnificent.
Fantastic. And I trust your family's well, and the governor is doing well and her family. I did speak with her last week. It was wonderful to catch up with her and to hear about all the work that she is doing, scouring the country for various ways to help our state. So it was great to hear from her directly.
Everyone's well on this end, and I think we have the finest governor in the land, and she has been leading us so well, and I think the proof is in the numbers. We've maintained a strong economic recovery. There is a lot to do. So many businesses are still struggling, especially our smallest businesses, but we have one of the strongest recoveries in the country, and we've kept our public health where it should be. The public health data and the public health conditions have been good. They've been favorable, really comparatively looking at the rest of the country throughout the pandemic. Obviously, there's always some volatility that occurs, but to have both strong public health and a strong economy is an accomplishment, and our governor's been leading us so well in partnership with a lot of people. But we are just so blessed to be with this governor, and I'm so grateful to serve her.
Yes, we were talking about some of the numbers relative to the resumption of employment in Rhode Island and some of the national rankings. I trust that you are very proud to be part of that group that is actually working to help, mitigate the impact, the job loss of the pandemic. Can you tell us a little bit about some of those rankings?
Yeah, so it's a little bit hard to hear you, so I'm just going to turn it for a moment. I really apologize. Could you repeat the question, Lori? You faded out for just a moment.
Yeah, let me get a little closer. So some of the rankings that we have heard about in terms of the resumption of employment numbers and folks coming back compared to other states, and Rhode Island is faring fairly well.
We have. There's an index of state economic recovery that's compiled by Moody's, and we're very pleased with the fact that from its creation, I believe we've been in the top 10 for the strength and the speed of the recovery. It's the Back to Normal Index. And in this past week, we were ranked number 2 in the whole country. Number 2. And that's on the basis of a series of stats and of indicators that they track. So we're extremely pleased with that. And, it's worth noting, Connecticut's at number 11, Massachusetts is at number 44, New York is at number 49, in case you're wondering how we're doing in comparison to our nearest neighbors. We're doing extremely well, number 2 in the country. They estimate that we're operating at 91% of our previous economic strength, our strength prior to the pandemic. Now, I say all of this, and the businesses that are still suffering are the smallest businesses. The individuals in Rhode Island who are struggling the most are our most vulnerable. So we have work to do, and we are working at it in a lot of ways. And I want to just express that to your members, Lori, the businesses of Greater Providence, to all of the businesses of Rhode Island, especially our small businesses, thank you for persevering. We know it's been incredibly hard. Some of you have been shut down by government regulations. Some of you have been shut down or curtailed or limited because of consumer demand dropping off or just consumer behavior changing. We really understand that, and we're doing a good amount now, but we're going to continue doing things to help you going forward.
So let's talk about going forward, and you have some new commerce programs to introduce into the marketplace as an additional leg up to the programs that you have previously rolled out that have been quite successful. So can you tell us about these new programs and how folks might go about applying?
Absolutely. The first one I'd like to feature, Lori, is the Restore Rhode Island Small Business Grant Program. This was designed for the COVID era. It's a small business grant program. This is not a loan program. We have those, but we created a grant program because we know that small businesses that are struggling, they don't need as much in the way of loans that they need to repay. They need some dollars that can just get them through, build a bridge to the near future even, so that they can operate in the near term. So we have a program that offers grants to businesses ranging from the tiniest 0 employee businesses, just the owner, no employees, all the way up to 50 employees. And for restaurants out there or caterers in the food service industry, there's no employee cap. So if you have more than 50 employees and you're a restaurant or a caterer, you're still eligible. All other businesses, 0 to 50 employees. Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, I thought I heard 20 employees was the cap. It used to be, and we've opened it up since. So now it's all the way up to 50, and for restaurants and caterers all the way through, it's been no cap. And if you're saying, well, I'm a sole proprietor, and I heard that if I had an employee, I could be in, but if I had no employees, that I wasn't yet eligible. Now you are eligible. Sole proprietors with 0 employees and all business types with 0 employees are eligible. I wanted to make that point emphatically, Lori, because I want to make sure the word is getting out. We have already provided grants to 1,200 Rhode Island businesses, small businesses across our state. We've pledged and spent $9.5 million. Fully $1.6 million of that amount has been to minority-owned enterprises. So we're pleased that about 17% of the money has gone to minority-owned businesses, and we've set as a goal up to 20%. So we're doing very, very well, and we're grateful to all of our partners out there who are helping recruit businesses with a special focus on the minority-owned businesses within Rhode Island, including the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and the Rhode Island Black Business Association and other very key partners who've been helping us. The Greater Providence Chamber has been amazing in sending out all of our information with frequency. I also want to point out a couple of other things that have changed over time to make things even easier, Lori. So we started the program where we were looking to make sure we helped the most impacted businesses to make sure that they got in, they were processed. So if a business experienced 50% revenue loss or greater, they were eligible for all parts of the program. Suffice to say this, we've dropped those thresholds to 30% revenue loss. And the other thing to know is you just have to demonstrate that revenue loss in 1 month since the onset of COVID in March. So if in 1 month you can demonstrate on a month-to-month basis a 30% revenue loss, you're in. You don't have to show us your books for the entirety of the span of time, and then you're in for the dollars that you're eligible for as adjusted for the number of employees you have. All of this is explained on commerceri.com, our website, commerceri.com, but the bottom line is 0 to 50 employees, 30% revenue loss in any given month, and you're in if you are in one of the categories of affected businesses, which is a very, very large number of small businesses in Rhode Island. Let me note this, for those who are saying, that sounds good, my time is limited, I'm going to check out the website, I know I'm going to need some help, or if you're already mid-process and you definitively know you need help, I want to express this. We have a virtual webinar on Tuesday, tomorrow, at 4 p.m. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. And we're hosting Zoom office hours, meaning our staff at Commerce are going to do office hours virtually via Zoom. We're doing that Thursday and Friday this week. And you can find all that information on the Restore Rhode Island portion of the commerceri.com website. So check out commerceri.com. Right up top, there's a banner for the Restore RI grant program. Click on it. You're going to find all the information.
Has the total dollar amount that companies are eligible for, has that changed at all in the second iteration of this grant program?
For those that had a 50% maximum, that is to say a 50% threshold, in effect, it dropped to 30%. So certain businesses are able to get more. The overall cap is still $15,000 per business. That has not changed. So that's the maximum no matter what size business. So there are certain categories where you are now eligible for more. And all of that is basically, if you looked at it once, go on the website and you'll see.
So is it fair to say that the dollar amount ranges roughly from $2,500 to $15,000?
Yes, that's correct.
And then it could fluctuate, not simply based on your number of employees, but it could potentially fluctuate given the extent of the loss during any 1 month. Is that correct?
Not exactly. It could be that your expenses that you're demonstrating could limit your amount based upon the federal rules. Pretty much once you have a 30% loss in a given month, you're in. And then the amounts are predominantly based upon the number of employees and your expenses. Once you tell us the amount of expenses that you've had during this period of time, that's what we're able to pay for. And then there's the caps per employee up to that $15,000 amount.
But the net of it is that there's various ways that folks that are listening can learn about the programs, either through Zoom or various one-on-one meetings with staff at Commerce that are so very skilled at helping folks walk through the application process and
exactly
and get it over the transom, if you will.
Exactly. If you're a sole proprietor or another business with no employees and you've been following along and you now know you're eligible and you're applying, I want to say a couple things to you. We have an abbreviated process that's just for you. Now, you don't have to do anything different to find it. It's not like it's on a different website. All the information is at commerceri.com, and that'll lead you through how to get there. But what I do mean to say is we've worked very, very hard to make the process as lean as possible for you, as easy as possible. But just know that there are blanks that you need to fill in. You need to demonstrate the type of company you are. You need to fill in some information about your revenue loss and about your expenses. Don't be intimidated. A lot of businesses have done this by now, 1,200 in fact, and a lot of sole proprietors and other small businesses. And they're getting through it fine, and we're getting increasing reports that the newest version is the easiest and the fastest. So don't be intimidated. If you go online and you start to fill it out and it's confusing to you, go back to the commerceri.com website and check out the office hours. We will absolutely handhold you. We have one-on-ones. We have group consultations where in a virtual room, a few businesses can come together and we can answer questions. We've gotten lots of positive feedback that our staff are being enormously helpful to small businesses, as we should be, because you are the ones who are struggling out there and experiencing these struggles every single day.
So if you're just joining us, we are talking to Commerce Secretary Stefan Pryor. We are live on Facebook. We are live on various social media channels here on our 75th episode of Chamber TV. And we do have a question from somebody who is watching this live stream on Facebook, and it's from Tracy. And she wants to know, Mr. Secretary, why is it necessary for an owner to upload a personal tax form along with the business one? I understand the business one, but the owner's returns are personal, etc. Any insights on that to share?
Yes. One of the things that we're required to do by federal law and also good practice is to make sure that we don't subject taxpayer money to fraud. Now we know the vast, vast majority of applicants are hard striving, honest Rhode Island business people. But there are fraudsters out there who've been trying to rip off the COVID federal programs across the country, even international players that have been, you may have seen examples of this, that are filing like multiple fraudulent applications for unemployment insurance and small business grants in states across the country. So we have to have a layer of protection. One of the ways that we check that the applicant is authentically a Rhode Islander or a Rhode Island business person is the personal tax return. So that's something that we are required to do and are requiring. And in many instances, we just need the first page where you just tell us your name and your social security number, and that gives us verification of who you are. But there are cases where we need the full form. If you don't file a business tax return because you're a sole proprietor and you only file your personal tax return, that's obviously another case where we do need that tax return and we'll need the full return. So these are the ways in which our processors are able to, as quickly and as efficiently as possible, check information for the purpose of assessing and allocating a grant, but also preventing fraud.
Mm-hmm. So if companies are both an S Corp or a C Corp, in both instances, personal income tax returns are required.
There's still, in any instance, even say a C Corp, you are required to provide us the first page that gives us your identity as an applicant. That is a proven fraud prevention mechanism.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm sure we'll have some other questions as we proceed with our interview. Are there any other loan programs, Mr. Secretary, that you are working on, or grant programs that you are working on now that you expect to be introduced in the near future?
Yes. I want to note that the Raimondo administration, when we came into office over 6 years ago now, there were no small business loan programs that were financed by the state. We did create programs well preceding COVID. Those are still operational. And I want to point out that I thank you for the prompt, Laurie. I want to point out that these grants are here, but also we have what's called the Small Business Assistance Program. So the grants are the Restore Rhode Island Small Business Grants. Those are the Restore Rhode Island grants. We also have the Small Business Assistance Program loans for businesses that can be much larger. They go through a half a dozen different community lending institutions that can provide you with a loan, often with flexible terms, and they often can handhold you more than they would for a traditional bank would be willing to do. And we've been very successful in getting loans out over the years, plural. So if you are looking for a small business loan and you think you may qualify, please check that program out too. The grant is straight up, no strings attached dollars. The loan is a loan. So please check out those Small Business Assistance Program loans as well. I do want to mention another program altogether, which is called Take It Outside. So one of the things that we're aiming to do, we as the Raimondo administration with multiple agencies coordinated by Commerce working on this one, we're aiming to help businesses conduct business outside, to do their business outdoors while the seasons, while the climate, while the weather allows. So we're trying to extend the outdoor season. Take It Outside is, as part of what we're doing, a grant program. And what we've done with thanks to the governor is we've set up a program where through intermediaries, through nonprofits, associations, some chambers of commerce, some other partners in the community across the state, we're able to help especially a small business, get that heat lamp that they need, get a couple of heat lamps that they may need, get outdoor furniture, set up the barriers that they may need, obtain the Jersey barriers or the rope line or whatever you need to set up outdoor retail. Now, let me say a couple things about this. First of all, it's still important to socially distance outdoors. It's still important to wear masks. We're still promoting all of those things, working with the Department of Health and working with the Department of Environmental Management. RIDO and DEM have been terrific partners on Take It Outside. But once you are ready to go that route and abide all of those rules, we want you to take it outside. And we've given grants to 41 different organizations across the state. It's about $3 million of grants that are authorized and headed out the door. And I want to highlight a few of them, Lori, just because there may be business people on the line who are saying, well, listen, I would do some business outdoors if I could obtain a heat lamp, for example. Mm-hmm. Providence Warwick Convention and Visitors Bureau, the CVB, for this region, is creating a lending library of not books, but lamps, tables, chairs, and other outdoor goods. And they'll have more online soon. These grants were just awarded last week. So take a look at presumably their website, the Providence Warwick CVB, and they're going to have those available to lend to help you extend the season. The City of Providence, to those who are doing business within the bounds of the capital city. The City of Providence is doing several things. I'll highlight one of them. They're creating an outdoor flex team where they'll have generators, heaters, etc., to support outdoor events. So they can help you set one up. There'll be a reservation system, presumably, with the city. I doubt that these things are up and running right now, but they will be very, very soon. We have a website for this purpose called takeitoutsideRI.com. You can link through it through the reopening website if you're accustomed to that one, reopeningri.com. But takeitoutsideRI.com. We're going to be listing these different organizations and helping matchmake where if you're a business, you can get to them. But I'm naming them because they may start to receive your calls and emails now. I hope they're not mad at me, but I think they'll be good with this. I'm going to name another one. I'm going to push my luck, Lori. The Steel Yard. Everyone knows the Steel Yard. Phenomenal organization. They're creating Take It Outside kits to give businesses and other organizations. So in their kits, they're going to have outdoor lighting, tents, signage, traffic banners. You get the idea, so that you can quickly get up and running if you want to do outdoor transactions, outdoor business. So we're extremely excited. And for those of you all who are, of course, Rhode Islanders who are just looking to stay safe but support local business, that's so important. We would urge you to make that, when you call for a reservation at a restaurant, make that reservation outdoors. Support these restaurateurs who are making it happen this way and making investments outdoors to keep you even safer. And they're doing a marvelous job. Many of these shopkeepers, store owners, and restaurants indoors too, but help them if they're making this additional investment and keep yourself even safer. And how about if you're a member of a gym or a fitness center or a yoga studio, how about calling and asking them, do you have an outside class? I'd like to take a class outdoors. And maybe if they get enough of those calls, they'll even do one if they weren't before. And we'll help them. We'll help them by providing these resources. For shopping, check out the many flea markets across Rhode Island, including the Providence Flea, and check out the bazaars that are outdoors. All of these things can help support local Rhode Island businesses that are making a go of it and can keep us safer.
That is an amazing narrative about all the different resources that are available, and so incredibly creative on everybody's part to think about how the shoulder season, into December and the like. What if you are a business that is not a restaurant or a retail shop or a gym, more like a professional services business of, accounting or, a small, engineering company or anything of that isn't necessarily hospitality driven.
Right.
There, how would be
They're in too. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Lori. And I probably say on the outdoors stuff a little bit too much about restaurants and stores in that sense. I mean, we love them, but I should mention this too. So larger office-based employers are completely stepping up as well and taking it outside. So Citizens Bank has said to its workforce, if you can, take lunch outside, even take a meeting outside. Now, it helps that their Johnston campus is gorgeous and has a lot of outdoor spaces, but they're using it. AAA of Rhode Island has said that at their customer service centers, they have moved at this point, portions of their processing outside. So you can actually fill out forms standing outdoors, and you might have to go inside and finish the transaction at the electronic register, but they're conducting a lot of their business outdoors. So some of these larger Rhode Island employers that are office-based or not quite retail stores, they're making it happen too. And let me also say, through the Department of Environmental Management, we are making state parks available for reservation through a new reservation system, so you can take your office-based meetings outside for as long as the weather will permit. There's a brand new electronic reservation system for Rhode Island's parks, for a cluster of them, for the Take It Outside campaign, brand new for this purpose. So check that out through DEM or through the takeitoutsideri.com website. And stay tuned. We're equipping some of our state parks with Wi-Fi for the first time, precisely so you can have your meetings there and have great Wi-Fi service. So stay tuned. There'll be 3-4 such parks announced in the near term to help you too. The biggest takeaway I would give you is, if you're a business and you're listening to this and you say, well, that sounds good, it doesn't quite fit what I'm trying to do, I would take it outside. Give us a try and let us see if we can help you. Call 521-HELP, 401, of course, 521-HELP. That's our small business helpline. Even if you don't feel like, well, wait a minute, I'm not even a small business. Call us, 521-HELP, and we'll problem solve and find flexible ways to assist you if we possibly can. And quite frankly, Lori, if you don't mind my offering up the Chamber too, we work so beautifully with Lori and with Janet and the entire crew at the Chamber. We'll be glad to team up with both the Chamber and you to solve a problem. Mm-hmm. It's always better that way.
Right. And we would love to hear some ideas from office-based businesses and how they might take advantage of it. So I think what you're saying, Mr. Secretary, is really important in terms of who might be the eligible universe for this. And it's not simply just the restaurants that are going to serve you outdoors. It's really everybody, as long as you have a creative idea on how you can get some of your customer traffic outside, or some of your employees to, maybe de-densify during the day. So that's important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, if you are an organization that serves multiple businesses and you're listening, and you say, you know what, I have an idea, and I first of all, we still welcome ideas to help restaurants, retailers, gyms, fitness centers. Still welcome that. So if you have an idea of that kind, or you know what, I want to help office-based businesses. I want to help XYZ business type take it outside. We have a second deadline for grants under the Take It Outside program, which is Wednesday. So it's Monday. In COVID time, it's like weeks from now, a couple of weeks from now. It's this Wednesday, the 8th. We have the next deadline for Take It Outside grants. Go for it. Try to put together an application. Again, we approved 41 of them last time. Mm-hmm. And my screen just went blank. So if you see me fidgeting, it's because I'm getting it back up and running. But we had 41 approvals last time. So give it a shot. And my colleague's going to spin in and get the computer back up and running.
Okay. Well, I can see you perfectly, Stefan, so we're good. If you can hear me.
There we go.
How much money are we talking here? So there's a fair amount of money at stake for.
There is. We have authorized $3 million, meaning we have provided grant commitments for $3 million, and we might go a couple million more.
Fantastic. Okay. So I'm being told by our producers behind the scene that we have questions from viewers about the business modification adaptation program being launched by Commerce this week. So
yes,
I will toss it back to you to elaborate on that.
No problem. We haven't launched the program yet, actually, and I want to always be clear about this. We just got our Commerce Board to authorize the program, which is a key step. That happened last week. But we are setting up a program for businesses that have had even more severe losses and are trying to pivot. So some examples would be, there's a travel agency, and with the global fall off of travel, they don't really have much business going on, or they've had to shutter altogether. Or it might be a prom dress shop, and there have been no proms, and they're trying to adjust and adapt. There are many examples, of course. Or it just might be a business that has lost a line of business and is looking to adapt and take that portion of the business in a new direction. We're setting up an adaptation program by which there will be grants that will enable businesses to invest in that new activity and get back up and running, either in part or in full. The grants could be in the tens of thousands, maybe up to $50,000. There may be a mini grant component of that that's more easily accessible. We may fold that into something else. So you get the idea. We're sculpting the program, but we've heard from businesses and we're responding. We've heard from businesses saying, some of us need a little bit more to go in a more dramatic direction. So we are responding. So we will get back to Laurie White and to the Chamber as soon as we have that program and it's ready to roll. And we will make sure that the business community of Rhode Island is informed.
So there are so many options. So the headline here is that if you don't necessarily fall into this bucket, then you probably would be well served to take a look and see what other places might fit your individual circumstance.
Absolutely. I mentioned the helpline. Really do give us a try. If you have a problem that doesn't fit into anything that I've just mentioned at all, but you need a referral, you need some brainstorming, you need some advice and counsel, try 521-HELP, 401-521-HELP, and the Commerce staff will do our best. We can't promise to offer the solution. We can promise to try. Another
resource that we should probably touch upon is Supply RI, which again is another place that businesses can turn to get PPE and other things. So again, this is all places that Commerce is aggregating information so that it's sort of easy to access, easy to understand, easy to source. So tell us about Supply RI and specifically what some of our businesses might find by working there.
Very good. So Supply RI is an organization, one of the first of its kind in the country, we believe, where what we're doing is connecting potential vendors and suppliers to purchasers and procurement offices. So typically we're connecting smaller Rhode Island businesses with larger Rhode Island businesses so that we can create these networks and by virtue of doing that, help the smaller businesses secure the contracts that they need to sustain their business and to grow their business. And so that larger businesses have even more efficient supply chains, more reliable supply chains, and so that all of the above are strengthening the Rhode Island economy for everyone's benefit. So we've set that up. It's been up and running for a couple of years now. We've had really wonderful networking events. We used to do them in person. Now we're doing them, of course, virtually. We have a database by which we maintain knowledge of the procurement that are going out on the street from the larger buyers, and we have the lists of these would-be or ongoing suppliers, and we bring them together. So give us a try. CommerceRI.com is again the website to use our general purpose commerce website, CommerceRI.com. Check out the information on Supply RI, And if you want to make a phone call, call 521-HELP if you want to be part of this.
Mm-hmm. Well, I look at the Commerce RI website quite frequently, most recently earlier today in preparing for our talk, Stefan. And I just want to let folks know that the Commerce RI website is chock full of resources and information and background information, and not just necessarily on what Commerce RI has to offer, but other SBA programs and the like. So it's beautifully done, and I know it's a lot of work to keep it incredibly fresh and up to the minute, but no doubt your team is indefatigable, just like you are. And, we're going to continue to partner with you, Stefan, to make sure that the information gets out there and that it's timely and it's reliable.
Well, can I say something about our team since you mentioned that? Because I have to say, I do want to gush about the Commerce team. I do want to re-gush about the Chamber team. You all are the best. I don't think there's a better state Chamber of Commerce relationship in the United States, and you all have been there from us from the beginning through this whole crisis. Unbelievable. But the Commerce team, I have to say, from our Chief of Staff, Hannah Moore, through to our Head of Communications and Stakeholder Outreach, Matt Sheaf, through to the entirety of the Commerce Corporation organization led by Jesse Saglio. I mean, they're not asking for sympathy here. Don't get me wrong. I'm not asking on their behalf, but on their behalf. They're giving up their nights and weekends and vacations, and in many cases during long stretches, every waking hour they're contributing to help small businesses especially. It's not easy to set up all of these programs. We are a little state. We have a small commerce organization compared to many states, and we are more than keeping pace. I'm so proud of what our staff have been doing, and I'm proud of our small businesses and all Rhode Island businesses. You've been resilient, and that's the reason why even Moody's, when they rank the states, puts us so high up, number 2 in the country. No one's resting on those laurels. People are struggling, and as an additional note, businesses are dealing with these incredible barriers due to COVID and the aftermath thereof. But individuals, Laurie, are in many cases disrupted. They're out of work, they're underemployed, they've been professionally shaken up. We have another initiative that the governor has set up that we're very, very proud of. It's called Back to Work. You've been key on this one as well. We've partnered with multiple Rhode Island employers who have openings and are seeking employees. Mm-hmm. Think of Electric Boat with its significant expansion, for example, and all the jobs that are needed there. And we've got national employers, Microsoft, Infosys, which does now have a large and very significantly growing presence here in Rhode Island, that are hiring people remotely, remote work, Rhode Islanders through this initiative, and we've put some federal dollars behind it to make sure that people can get trained and well positioned to do well in these jobs. So, employers across the board are welcome to participate. Let us know if you're interested, if you're an employer that's not yet looped in right here in Rhode Island, but this is happening as well. So we can through Skills for Rhode Island's Future, which the Chamber has helped to found and helped to bring to life, we can help you connect to jobs there. That's another key fact.
Yeah, so we're talking about that at our last board meeting for Skills, and believe it or not, it is very difficult for employers today to source employees in some instances, and of course it depends on what industry the business is in and where they're located, and if there are any other logistical problems and the rate of pay and things like that. But we really need to get on this issue, and tackle it from both sides. And you point out from, the employer side and the employee side, but we know that the longer certain, individuals, the longer they stay out of work, the harder it is to get back, because they've lost some of their skills and they're not as current as they could be or should be. So that's why this program is really so important from a displaced worker perspective. So I think it's important that you address
Very
that.
important.
Yeah. What can we look forward to in the next couple of weeks from Commerce, and what can the do to continue to be a partner?
We are going to continue to dedicate the limited resources we have to supporting businesses. So stay tuned. We will have more offerings for small businesses and all businesses. The governor has been guiding us to make sure that we implement more to help keep our momentum up. A couple of notes. You were kind to ask at the top of the program, about our really quite favorable statistics that have been arising even during the COVID crisis. I do want to note we especially are acknowledging of the struggles of restaurants, the food service industries, caterers. We've done a lot to provide the most flexible criteria in our grant program, probably the disproportionate assistance in the Take It Outside campaign. I will note some of this success is showing, which doesn't alleviate the pain and the incredibly hard work that many restaurants are going through and the revenue losses they're still experiencing. But since April, Rhode Island has added 23,600 jobs among food service and drinking establishments, restaurants, and bars. And that includes adding 1,200 jobs in August. We have ranked number 2 in New England for the lowest year-over-year restaurant job losses. So we're second best in terms of restaurant jobs when you take into account that everyone is losing some amount of jobs in New England. And the National Restaurant Association has indicated that in the course of the crisis, we were one of the strongest performing states on the East Coast in terms of restaurant jobs. I'm pointing all of this out to say we are doing, in the context of the great struggle that our nation and indeed the world is having with COVID, we're doing reasonably well. You might even argue we're doing among the best, but no one is satisfied with that. We are going to keep working at it. So expect to see us in the coming weeks announce that we will have an adaptation program for the most severely impacted businesses that are shifting. We will be providing new assistance to nonprofit organizations. Thus far, the programs straight out of commerce have been focused, as is our primary mission, on businesses, on for-profit businesses. We, as an administration and with commerce as part of the team, we've had other programs that have helped some of the subsectors within nonprofits. We're going to do more to help nonprofit organizations in the midst of this crisis. And what we'll be sure to do is stay in touch with the Greater Providence Chamber and keep you informed of all developments.
Well, there are some programs that we will be doing later this week. You may be aware that we will be partnering with William Shapiro on Thursday, Friday, to talk about the PPP forgiveness programs, potentially
Very important.
how that is going to work and what that potentially looks like down the road. But the net of what we're talking about today, the net is that if you haven't already put your application in, if you've been on the sidelines, if you're wondering, is it worth it? Is it worth the time? Is it worth the effort? Is it too much? Is it too much disclosure? Is it going to take me too long? Is money there? What's the deadline? These questions have been answered by you today, where specifically you have said that it is not too late. Not only is it not too late, but the terms have become even easier based on the legitimate feedback and ways to really want to continue to get that money out there.
Definitely. The Restore Rhode Island small business grants are available. Frankly, there's plenty of money left. We do want you to get it as soon as you can for the benefit of your business, but please give it a try. If you took a look and you thought this is a bit complicated for me or a bit intimidating to me, and I'm flat out, I can't work on it right now, take another look. We've made it easier and easier over time. We've made it so that more and more businesses are eligible over time. There's a quote attributed to Mark Twain. Quite frankly, they've never been able to determine that it was Mark Twain who said it, but it's one of these widely attributed things, and I'm going to use it. So it goes like this. Mark Twain was presenting a letter to someone, and they thumbed through it, and it was a very long letter, presumably. This is my rendition of the story. Very long letter.
And he was said to have said, if I had a longer time to write it, I would have written a shorter letter. And that's what we've been able to do here, is that we've taken the time to make the process more abbreviated and easier for businesses. So take another look. Our team is working overtime for you. We're not looking for sympathy or thanks. What I mean to say is we are doing everything we can to make it work for you. Reach out to us. Check out the commerceri.com website. See if you're eligible to apply for the Restore RI small business grants. Call our helpline if you're having any trouble at all, or there's something that you want to ask us that isn't a generic question or hasn't been answered already. 521-HELP.
And the chamber number is 521-5000. So we will forward that call, and we will continue to work in collaboration. Thank you very much, Stefan Pryor, Secretary of Commerce. Thank you to your entire team. And we will continue to check in with you on a regular basis and make sure that we know exactly where the pulse beat is for Rhode Island's community, and continue to work with the Office of the Governor, as we always do, to ensure that we are of service and that our members indeed are well taken care of. So, anything else you want to leave us with?
Just a big thank you to you, Laurie White.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. There you have it, and we'll see you next time. Take care.